I think I've hit a new world record in these not naming new recordings. After this recording, it's going to be new recording number 7. But little side note, I managed to recover my Reddit account somehow. I don't know how. It just happened on a whim when I was on my laptop. I managed to recover my Jalen the Automaton account. You feel me? So I'm going to be, I guess I'll post on there whenever I feel like it. And then, of course, my Fire Magic account going to be for the NSFW shit. So, yeah, that happened. But anyways, this is going to be about Evola and Nietzsche. And sort of talking about those two, you know, the dichotomy between those two. Because those two, they sort of have like it's interesting. They sort of have like this same will type of thinking. I've explained the Neoplatonism aspects to, Evola. I've talked about that. He's very Neoplatonic. You read a lot of him, and a lot of what he talks about with, the emperor being representative of a divine power, and also the fact that ritual is there to call upon divine powers. It's reminiscent of the technology of theurgy and thaumaturgy within Neoplatonism. Of course, Nietzsche is not Neoplatonic at all. Nietzsche believes that reality is purely within the manifest world, and the only thing that's really practical and useful is confronting the manifest world in its state, right? And pretty much experiencing tragedy. And what is tragedy? Tragedy is the Dionysian and chaotic, reality of the world being painted over by a desire to implement order, in the Apollonian sense. Apollonian, I think is better to say. But with Nietzsche, it gets you quite a while. Nietzsche gives you a lot to work with. Nietzsche gives you a lot of material to work with. And I think no matter if you read Evola or no matter if you read Nietzsche, there is an element of tragedy in both of them. With Nietzsche, it's more so an element of tragedy where you have pretty much a Lovecraftian cosmos with Nietzsche. And as a human being, you have to battle and conquer this Lovecraftian cosmos with the knowledge that you're not necessarily going to win, but the beauty and creativity and growth of the individual can only come about through confronting it regardless, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of us humans, when you read Thus Spoke Zarathustra, we're the dude walking on the freaking, it's not a zip line, what the frick are those things called? The rope. We're the man walking on the rope. And while a lot of us fall, it's remarkable that we even have the strength and the courage to walk upon that line, because some of us don't. A lot of us that walk on that line know that there's a very slim chance of us succeeding, but that chance is still there. So regardless, we still walk upon it. And, there's a tragedy in that, but if you want strength, you have to embrace that tragedy. A lot of the Greek heroes have tragic fates. Like Hercules went mad and killed his family. Achilles, got shot in the heel, right? Tiresias went blind. Oedipus fucked his mother. They all have tragic ends, but they embrace their fates, that amor fati. And they live with their pain, and they apply order to it, and they grow stronger from it. And that's very noble. That's the noble virtue that, a lot of us that read Nietzsche try and find within our own lives. But when you read Evola, you sort of have to take a step further and say, well, what if I can manifest within myself something that isn't just mortal, but it's also eternal? What if I can bring about eternity within my own being? What if I could bring about something that isn't confined to my temporal existence, right? We read, like, you sort of get an understanding of this with the metaphysics of war, where Evola talks about the fact that the hero, or, the warrior, is one that, through undergoing war, sees himself as a god conquering the, sort of like the Asuras, or the negative forces of existence. Sort of purging these negative forces of existence through the act of war, sort of being like a victor or whatever. And, for Nietzsche, this form of thinking, this form of placing yourself beyond mortality, it's sort of, it can be kind of dangerous because it places you into a world that isn't here. And of course, Nietzsche doesn't necessarily want you to do that. Even Nietzsche's highest ambition, which is the Ubermensch, is still a person that is within the real world. He's not a person out there. He's here with us. It's Ubermensch. All it is super. It's a Superman, right? But again, it's still a man. It's still a mortal. It's just the highest ideal of what a man could be. But for Evola, the highest form of a man is a man that goes beyond his mortality and his temporality and seeks to become one with eternity and one with infinity. And this oneness isn't necessarily, surrendering your individuality. This oneness is based around the fact of a relation between your own individuality and the higher cause, right? So the energy and the will that guides the higher cause is operating within your own will, within your own individual will as well, and you're getting power from it. It's a oneness there. It's a oneness that you experience within your own being. It's not a oneness where you sacrifice your own being to meld with the entire environment around you. You just know that the power that's operating and controlling the environment, you're the same thing as that power, right? So you're still maintaining the me. You're still maintaining the I. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because, the I, that experience, is verified through, you having an I to begin with. So there's an importance there, and it's not false. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is, within my own life, it's kind of funny because, with Nietzsche, with Amor Fati, you have loving your own fate, and that's cool and all. But with Evola, when you read him, a lot of times, you want to transcend yourself. Like, imagine if you're reading Evola and you see yourself as not being, like, when we think about the quadripartite system that Evola talks about within his books, imagine like you're a part of the merchant class and you want to be a part of the priest or the higher class, or like the class that would be represented for like the philosopher king or whatever. You would have to transcend yourself. You would have to transcend your very nature. You would have to draw upon a divine power or a divine essence that doesn't listen to rationale all that much. For me, I guess what happened was that, the closest thing that I could get to this was the breaking apart of rules, which of course is a post-modernity in itself, but it was the breaking apart of rules, just a tearing asunder of what I believed who I was to be. like when it comes down to, what the fuck was that? When it comes down to like schizoid and depression and all that sort of stuff, I just changed my definitions on those things. So being depressed doesn't necessarily mean that I gotta take Prozac and antidepressants and all this other bullshit. I just gotta drink some coffee, work out, and get through it. You know, being a schizoid doesn't necessarily mean I gotta be by myself shit in my room. You feel me? I can do things, but I just gotta figure out a way to understand that, like, the alienation and sort of like the unfamiliarity that's within the world, I take it as a threat more so than other people, you know, and I just gotta accept that of being schizoid. You feel me? But there's a lot of things that I do with who I am as a person that go beyond who I should be. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, even with working a job, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain virtues that I have that other people do not have. Now, you know, with our current idea of work and our current, you know, work culture, it's not hard to have higher virtues than, you know, people within your work culture, because work culture is not very virtuous nowadays to begin with. It's just all about money and how to, you know, cheat out the people under you, this, that, and the third. So it's not very virtuous to start off with, but still, like, just, it's just a way, it's just, you know, a lot of times with who I am, I feel who I am is not good enough. And I don't say that in like a sense of I'm not good enough for people. I mean, like I achieve an ideal for myself, and then like another ideal for myself pops up. And, you know, like a lot of times, you know, it could be the will to power. You know, it could be this wanting to expand yourself and conquer new horizons. But it's a little bit more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I really want to do is to achieve a form of being that makes it to where I see myself as more than just a Superman. I see myself as a divinity. You know, that's really the sort of power that can be freeing. You know, in the Bible it says that we are gods. And you see people performing, you see like in the Bible, the biblical characters performing miracles and performing all these different feats just out the blue. You know, all you do is they call upon God and these feats are performed. And that's really what I'm talking about here. It's not enough to just be like, you know, this character in Judges that just conquers things, and it's just like this, you know, this behemoth of a man. It's not enough to be Samson. You know, I don't want to be just Samson. I really want to be like Moses. I want to be the guy that can split a river in half. You know, I want to be able to achieve the impossible within myself and in the world around me. You know, that's really the difference between like Nietzsche and Evola. With Nietzsche, it's more so you have to expand your being. But with Evola, it's you have to transform your being. You know, it's not just okay, you know, to be, you know, within your own nature. If you feel your nature is weak, you have to go beyond it. And that's really what I be wanting. That's really what I want to do. Is go beyond my human nature. You know, I don't think that a human existence is enough for me. You know, I don't know. Like it just sounds weird, but I don't think like I said, I don't really think a human existence is enough for me. Like I literally have a lot more of a Luciferian mindset than a satanic mindset. Because so if the Satanists would be like, well, you know, we're gods because we can eat and we can do this and we can do all that. But for me, I'm like, well, I want to go beyond all that. I want to go beyond the sinfulness of my nature. I want to go beyond, I want to go beyond hedonism and maintain apotheosis. And that's what I really want. I really want an apotheosis where I see myself in the sky observing the ground beneath me. And I can just feel everything. But anyways, that's my recording. So without further ado, I'm going to sign out. Peace.